Hi there, it's Bill DeYoung from the St. Pete Catalyst, back again with the Catalyst Sessions. Happy to say that our guest today is my good friend John Collins, the Executive Director of the St. Petersburg Arts Alliance, joining us after, probably 4 months since we last talked. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm doing well.
You just mentioned to me that you've been doing countless Zoom meetings, so you're a little talked out today.
Yes, I've discovered, I think we all have learned to make some adjustments at working at home. And I share my office with my wife. Actually, it's her office. I'm the interloper here with my writer. And our sort of in-house joke has been the first week, we learned that I talk too loud on the phone. And the second week, we learned I speak way too loud on Zooms. And the third week, we learned I type too loud. But the part about the voice seems to be true. And I am, it sounds like I'm auditioning to grow up to be Rod Stewart. I would love to work on that. But
all right, Maggie May, come on, here we go.
Yeah, right.
So John, it's National Arts and Education Week.
Yes, it is.
And I saw that on the ACE site and on your site, and I'm wondering, in the time of COVID, I mean, what does that mean? I mean, everything we're going to talk about today has to do with adapting to our situation. What does that mean in 2020 Arts and Education Week? What can you do?
Well, I think a lot of things, we're posting some things daily. A lot of it is raising awareness for arts education. Americans for the Arts is doing that. We're also doing that. Thinking to the future. And if I'll go off on a brief educational mission here, but this is Arts Education Week. We at the Arts Alliance host ACE, Arts for Complete Education, yes, which is a volunteer group, including the heads of the performing arts and the fine arts for the Pinellas County Schools. And we are helping them with advocacy for the referendum that's coming up in November. And during the voting times, however people are going to vote this year, in person, by mail, day of, or early, on the ballot for anyone, no matter what color they are, red or blue, there is a referendum for everybody to support for the arts. And that will fund arts education and tech, as by the way, arts education and tech equipment for our public county school system. And those funds, this will be the third time, it's not a new tax, it's a renewal. It was first passed in 2004. And every 4 years, for some reason in this state, go figure, we have to renew it. So we are working very hard. As a matter of fact, our time we're working very hard. We've put together the reasons why people should vote for this. For example, you and the viewership may not realize that every arts teacher on their paycheck, it says how much they're making as part of this line. And the average is $5,000 some odd per teacher. For Pinellas County. So we really want to get the word out that this is something, it's a good thing, it's a great thing. It was voted by an overwhelming majority 3 or 4 years ago, but things changed. We have a lot of new people moving into the county who don't know what it is, who hopefully will vote for it. And that's my public service announcement for this morning.
Has it passed every time since 2004? I mean,
yes.
Has there ever been a time when it didn't overwhelmingly pass?
I think my memory time compresses my memory, but I believe each time we've increased the majority by which it has passed. It was well over 70 some odd percent last time. I have notes I can look up in a minute if I need to. But
well, it's on your website, the information.
It's on our website, thank you. I mean, we wouldn't have orchestra, we wouldn't have band practice, we wouldn't have marching bands if it wasn't for these funds. Already Florida's in the very way bottom of funding education in America, unfortunately, even with this extra $5,000 for our teachers. So we need that support. The average homeowner is not going to notice it. It averages out to about $7 a month, I think, as part of your overall bill each year from the county. But it's probably the most important thing I think we can investing in our future, our students.
Can we talk about the last 6 months? Okay. It seems to be what I end up talking about with everybody. Obviously, the primary function of the Arts Alliance is advocacy.
Yes.
How is that? I think I understand, but I'd like to hear you say it. I mean, how has that changed over these 6 months? You know, everything is in some version of freeze frame. What are you advocating? I mean,
I think we've always been very hands-on as opposed to what people think of advocacy, writing white papers and so on. Much of what we've done, you know, writing the arts and economic impact for the city, helping produce the arts and economic impact for the county, making those materials that you'd be once a week, I get called, you know, what are the numbers for this? How do we prove that? How do we basically value our arts and cultural community? That's only one piece. It's unfortunate because when I start telling people about the, you know, the amount of dollars and the related dollars that are spent, for example, Art Walk generates $300,000 a year for all of the
yes.
people, not including buying art in our community. That's a great number. People's eyes glaze over. So what I try to do is tell the story about what does this mean to Duncan McClellan's gallery? What does it mean to Zen Glass? What does it mean
Yeah,
to
you
the
put a
Monument Arts
face on
Center?
it. Uh-huh.
We put
Yeah.
a face on it. We try to tell the stories. So I'm trying to get better at telling those stories. And then people can relate to them because a lot of them will go, oh, my kid takes classes there, or oh, I've been there. Oh, I get it. So if they go away, what's going to happen? So we're trying to really support through the advocacy for that. And by hands-on, what I mean is, for example, because of COVID, we have not been able to do Art Walk.
Yeah.
So, you know, and what we found, the other piece of advocacy, which was hands-on that we did, was help start the emergency relief fund, where we wrote well over 200 checks for relief for artists, galleries, and some nonprofits in the arts. So, but what we learned from all the people who applied for those funds is many of them were not able to apply for relief funds because they hadn't bothered or learned or been trained or even heard that they needed a City of St. Petersburg business license. It's not a lot of money, but you had to register in order to get the Fighting Chance funds. Now the city was admirable in saying, go ahead and apply and pay your fee. We'll basically make it work. But a lot of them never even occurred to them. A lot of them never occurred to become an LLC. A lot of them never occurred to pay themselves. So because they didn't do these things, they didn't qualify for Fighting Chance or Pinellas Cares or even unemployment, I know. And they're suddenly going, oh, wait a minute. And it's not just artists, the people who were hurt immediately, the impact just as bad was musicians and actors and dancers. Suddenly there's no stages to play. So how did we get them some funds? So for now, how do we take that to the next step? And by advocacy, what we've done is worked with Pinellas Cares, and yesterday with Creative Pinellas, the Arts Alliance hosted a webinar where artists could sign on, and literally Barbara St. Clair and Tabitha Cervantes walked you through line by line how to fill out this form in 45 minutes. So as an artist, you have no excuse not to ask for this money. It's yours, it's there for you. There's more than enough. You don't have to get in line, you know, just sit down for an hour and do the work. And already my phone's been ringing. How do I do this? You know, but so we have this video now that we can share with them. So that's kind of what I mean by hands-on advocacy. And we've been spending an awful lot of time during this COVID with other institutions, trying to work out what will things look like in the future. In October, I will be moderating 2 evenings for the Leadership St. Pete Alumni Association. We'll be interviewing 4 leaders, Liz Dimmitt, Yael Kelly, Hank Hine, and Stephanie Gallart, who you've interviewed and know probably all. And the question's
well,
going
I
to
think
be,
Yael Kelly on here. I haven't done that yet, but yes.
Yeah, well, you should. It's going to be, you know, what's the future of the arts in your arena? What do you see coming, and what is leadership? How do we get there? So that's one thing we're working on. I'm kind of forgetting some of the others. I'm still stuck. I'm very, very proud. Oh, we're going to be working with the Chamber of Commerce. Chris Steinacher is convening different folks to create alliances among the alliance. It seems weird for me to hear somebody else say that word, and that will be beginning in October as we find new ways to come together to grow smarter in our community. You know, obviously we're all working to grow smarter in all of our businesses, and indeed the nonprofit world and the for-profit arts world are the same business. It's just a different model. So how did we all work together with the business community to come out of this? And what is that going to look like? I'm also cooking something up with Jason Mathis, who's been doing some wonderful leadership at the
Yeah.
Downtown Partnership.
Yeah, of
And
course.
we've got a couple of great things in the works also that I hope to be working on in October. So that's what we've been doing in terms of advocacy, trying to find out who can we collaborate with, who can we partner with, how can we continue to do what we do, and as everybody has been hit badly by COVID. The last time we were talking, we were hoping for the Shine Mural Festival, which you've interviewed Janae,
Yeah.
and you know what we're working on there for November, but trying to, I wish I could have I shouldn't even say it. I wish I could hire an artist who could make me $100 bills. Right now we're hurting like everybody else. The county,
Yeah.
The state grant, not just our grant, but all the grants in our category were vetoed on July
Yeah.
2nd or 3rd. So we didn't have that 25,000 to devote to Shine, and we're desperately trying to make it up. But while we're asking people for funding, they're having their own problems. So how can, and so
Sure.
we're having a tough
I
time
think
there.
that really goes to the heart of what I wanted to talk with you about. That it's kind of, I mean, working on fundraising and helping people survive,
Mhm.
is diametrically, not diametrically, but it's certainly opposed, different to what you sort of normally do, which is, cheerlead and direct and advocate. And now it's all focused on survival. I'm just thinking that's gotta be exhausting. When
It's,
do we get fun again?
I think, well, as the head of a 501c3,
Yeah.
a nonprofit charity, every day I have to wake up and think, who am I going to ask for money in order to
Yeah.
do what we want to do to support our arts and cultural community?
Yeah.
Now, 2 years ago, we were able to, and I didn't come up with this number, it was done by an accounting firm. We were able to say that 80.1% of all the money we raised went to programming. I don't think any other nonprofit can touch that.
Yeah, I remember.
So it was extraordinary, and that's only because I had incredibly talented and committed volunteers helping us do what we do. Last year, 2 of those volunteers we ended up hiring part-time because we grew, and I just can't do it by myself. So I have a wonderful part-time support staff. So that percentage is going to go down a bit. However, this year we also managed to raise funds to raise I'm looking at the number, $134,000 for the Arts Relief Fund. And a lot of that came into my budget. So now our program, if you will, percentage is going to go back up. But it just shows how you shouldn't really count on them for the amount of work that we do for our community. But we in the Arts Alliance, if I may toot my own horn for a minute here, we wrote 207 checks to artists, 21 creative businesses, 17 nonprofits with that fund. We also awarded $20,000 and $1,000 individual artist awards, and then another $5,000 award, all 15,000 from the city and 10,000 privately raised. We've also raised 20,000 for our Funding Futures, which is our funding futures for kids after school education or summer, which we managed to do during COVID even. A lot of them are online. And we were also raised money. We sponsored somebody for Leadership Safety. Anyway, this year to date, we've spent $172,000 on helping other people. Not one penny of any of those dollars came to my organization. So how are we going to pay for QuickBooks and MailChimp and Inc. and all of the things that bookkeeping that are required to do this work? And that's what we need to raise money for the Arts Alliance for in order to be able to help serve others. I think we're very much in a servant leadership mode. That's all.
This happens on Zoom a lot. I end up interrupting people because I'm watching, but I can't tell. I don't know if there's a time delay. That sounded very rude of me. I didn't mean to step on you there. The Emergency Relief Fund, is it finished? I mean, is it still a living, breathing thing?
The Pinellas Community Foundation, which was just a rock for us as a foundation.
Yes,
Duggan was brilliant at serving as our central bank for want of a better word.
Yeah.
And so that account is still open. Should anybody want to drop 100,000 into it, we'll be happy to go back to work giving it away.
Yeah.
But we have stopped asking for funds for that because of what I just told you.
Yeah.
I have to ask for funds now for my own organization, which I didn't do before. In fact, we contributed 10,000 to the fund, or I'm going to be in the same boat everybody else is next year. We need to start thinking about ourselves. And what you'll probably see in October, November is a fundraising drive for the Arts Alliance, so that we can continue. We don't have a regular income stream, so to speak.
What's the future look like to you? I mean, let's put on rose-colored glasses and say, yeah, let's do it this way. In a perfect world, we all know there is no such thing, right? But I mean, put on those rose-colored glasses. This is what I'd like to see happen, Bill. This will be great. We'll all come out. We're holding hands. We're singing Kumbaya, and we're not starving anymore.
I don't. Yeah. Well, that would be nice. Everybody would be paid the value that we wish they could be paid.
Well, yeah, that's a really perfect world. But let's just say the next 6 months, the next year. I mean, what would be, there's grass growing again for you, for the community.
Well, our hope is, and it's ironic because the one thing that can bring everybody together during difficult times is the arts or church, and you can't do either right now. So how can we look to the future? Well, I think, and we've made some of these available on workshops where we brought in Colleen Dillenschneider to talk about, what will it take for people to come back to the arts? So on my end is how can I get up to that level to provide those things for people to come back to the arts? And so the future would be, American Stage is open. I have this wonderful backdrop behind me of the things that we've done in the past. But my other backdrop is sitting in an empty theater saying, when will people be able to return? I spoke this morning with a small cinema, which hopes to open up in a small way in the next few weeks and open safely and try to help people come back in. But it's still going to take people 3 to 6 to 9 months before they decide they're safe enough to go do that. The Museum of Fine Arts just opened up today. I mean, this week, sorry, on Saturday.
Yeah, well, they opened in public Saturday.
And the public next week, yeah. So members are this week.
Kristen was on here yesterday. Yes.
Super. And all the others are now open except for the one that has MAACM hasn't opened yet. But I think everybody's looking at what, well, obviously, what do they need to do so they can afford to open? It's a tough call for everybody, and that's where the business side comes in for them. So what I would see is, as soon as I hope there's a vaccination, people will start, and who knows, this is going to take 3 to 6 months from what we hear. The idea would be that then people will feel more comfortable to go out to things in public. But in the meantime, what we're seeing is different ways of providing the arts. So presumably we'll see more arts in the park, more things outdoors, maybe some more things that could come in, but we'll get more used to social distancing. But I don't have, if I had my silver ball, and none of us do, who really knows? And Broadway is technically closed till January 1st, but who knows? And even that happens, who's going to fly to New York City to buy a Broadway show ticket? It's just so much contact.
Well, I think you said, who knows is pretty much it. I mean, it's an open-ended, question. It's a candle burning on both ends. Can we talk about Art Walk? I mean, well, such as it is, and we just had one this past weekend, I think. There's nothing organized there, right? I mean, obviously, only some venues are actually open.
Some are open. Actually, most of them are now open in small ways, in limited hours. Instead of 5 to 9, it's 5 to 7, or during the afternoon into the early evening. And we have tried to encourage people to go out and visit them. But it's hard for the consumer. You can't just say, go to Art Walk and look at the map anymore. We can say, go here, look up Zen Glass, or look up the Moran, or look up the Moran Center for Clay, for example.
Right.
And then here's their hours, and go plan to visit them. And like many things that we do, the fun part about Art Walk is everybody coming together and doing it together, and having that almost a festive atmosphere that we're all safety in numbers, that we're going to get together and visit with the artists. And so that part doesn't happen. And
Yeah.
obviously we cannot rent, and by the way, that's another thing we pay for. We cannot rent the trolleys because there's only 22 people technically on a trolley. And to rent the trolleys to ferry 10 people around, I don't even know how you would social distance on a
Sure.
trolley. My hope is in October that we can do a really concentrated effort to bring Art Walk back. But that all depends on the mayor's restart committee, the numbers that we're seeing. Has COVID plateaued? Is, all of those things is keeping it a little bit up in the air. What we've done is, have you seen our Curate St. Pete page?
I have. Explain this to me. I saw it as I was doing a little research before we talked today.
I could bring it up quickly if you.
Yeah, let's do that.
If I can share it. Okay, let me see here, because I'm so proud of this. Okay, share screen. How's that look?
That looks fabulous. Tell us about this.
Okay, so we were able
Yeah,
to get
that's right. Yeah, okay, sure.
We got, so the idea is you can't go out to Art Walk. How can we bring Art Walk to you? Okay, so we brought this up. So what we have discovered or found from many of our studios and galleries that they did not have a presence online. They may have a website, many do not. Many are only operating on Facebook. So what we're trying to do during this time of COVID, and we got a grant from the Healthy St. Pete Foundation. We got some matching funds from the David and Rebecca Ramsey Foundation, from the Community Foundation in Tampa Bay. And we hired a local firm, Communicasting, to go out and do gallery tours. And our gallery tours are different than what you've been seeing. Many gallery tours have like this unseen camera going around, and it focuses in on the art and comes back and it's all very sterile. So we thought, it's not about the gallery. Look at these pictures. It's about the gallery owners. So you literally go to the Charlie Parker Pottery Gallery, and Charlie's at the door, and he opens the door and he says, "Hi, I'm Charlie Parker, come on in." And he talks about what he does there. Articles talks about, Leslie talks about the aesthetic of the kind of art they have there. The Clay Center talks about that. Barula talks about her art and what makes it different. So you're identifying not with a storefront, you're identifying with the person who created that. This is their life, and that's what we tried to get. And it was difficult. I mean, a lot of these folks are not used to saying their name. What do you do? We sent a two-person team in, and they had cue cards. "Hello, my name is, welcome to my gallery. This is what I do." And so they're all the same. And we licensed music from our own La Lucha band to be the music behind each one of these settings. And one of the reasons that we were able to get the funding from this, from say, Healthy St. Pete and others, was this now makes the art world accessible to people who couldn't otherwise go, and people who, like in front of you on the right, uniquely original art. Catherine Weaver, that's her studio. Most people don't know where it is. It's only 3 blocks from the Carter Woodson Museum, African American Museum. So, by doing this, we're shining a light on them and helping them hopefully sell art. The next step for us that we're working into is actually go in and start creating some websites for some of these folks who don't have websites, to learn how to sell art. So what we're doing here, and also the stories are phenomenal. How many people have actually been in Vladimir's collection right on the corner near the Chamber of Commerce and never really thought to ask Vladimir who he is? He graduated with an art degree in Russia before coming over here to do his work. So
can I just tell you how cool this is?
This is phenomenal now. And I just had a thing from Tracy Kennard about 2 hours ago. Since this gone up, and we've been promoting each one of them instead of Art Walk, we're promoting them. Okay, each one of them got a Facebook post that they were to share. 18,000 people hit us last week for information on our web Facebook page. That's like 10,000 more than ever.
I see so many familiar faces here.
Yeah, so I'd really urge people.
This is great.
So my idea was that if you go to, and oops, I went off where I wanted to go. But the idea, I'll stop that. The idea is, like, if you were to go to Art Basel and you go under this one big roof, but you see 200 galleries. So now you're under the roof of Curate St. Pete, underneath the Arts Alliance umbrella, where we advocate for you. And how we advocate for you is, one, here's a very practical way. Two, we're hoping to say to the world, visit St. Pete Clearwater, visit Florida, all of the tourist destinations. Just go to Curate St. Pete and see what's here. And then they can shop around. So
Trickle
this is
down.
just the beginning. We got enough money to do 30 of them. There's many more. And the first 30 that we did are ones that are typically on Art Walk, because we were trying to help
Oh,
them
sure.
out, and also their arts business partners. So that's, I'm pretty proud of that, actually.
It's
just
curatestpete.com, or is it directly with the Arts Alliance website?
curatestpete.com. It has its own website now. So we're also working on what COVID has done is catapulted everybody into the internet age, whether they wanted to or not, including me. You know, we're all trying to learn so fast how to do these Zooms, how to do Microsoft Teams, which my computer doesn't like, how to do.
You know,
all
I
these
learned how to
things.
turn the computer on, and everything else I'm still not sure about. But what I was going to
Yeah.
say is this is the textbook example of adapting to your circumstances. And this is what we talk about on this program a lot. A lot of people will say, well, if there was any silver lining in this horrible, horrible situation, it's that I got more technological. I learned how to do what we do in this way, which will help us once everything comes back. That Curate St. Pete is gonna, I was gonna say it'll outlive us all, which is a bit grand, but it's a great tool, whether there's COVID or not.
Yes, and then the next step is we develop, hopefully, websites for the people who don't have them, and very simple ones, but they will have to apply because they have to promise to use it, of course, and then we'll actually help them sell. But also, this will continue on so that you, as the art culture vulture, the consumer, will be able to go to either their website or go in person to Art Walk. So they won't only be selling on every second Saturday night, they'll be selling every day. And that's how I hope we'll come out on the other side of this. We're also doing an awful lot of arts business education. We'll be doing our Arts Business Academy in October, November, co-hosted with St. Pete College. The idea there is we did learn about how many artists, dancers, musicians, actors had no presence, had no ability to survive without being person to person. So how do we provide that for them? And the classes that we have been asked for, as one artist wrote to us in a survey, in a response to a survey, is what I need is for somebody to teach me how to be an adult with my business.
Yeah.
You know, he's been selling offline for 5 years and doing okay, but suddenly, poof. So, you know, I have to pay attention. I thought that was a great word.
Yeah,
you know, so I say, how do you grow your business? But I love that. How can I be an adult for my business?
Well, the thing is, you know, I'm an artist, I'm a musician. I mean, it's sort of like I'm a journalist, you know, it's, to me, that's a way of deferring adulthood, or putting it off as long as possible. You know, I get to do creative stuff. I don't really have to do my taxes and apply for loans. And we're all learning new skills all the time now with this. There's another silver lining. You know,
exactly.
I need to deal with this I need to learn how to be an adult. That is fabulous.
But if they only had, they could have qualified for unemployment. They could have gotten money from the Fighting Chance Fund. They could have gotten it from Pinellas Cares, which, by the way, nonprofits are not allowed to apply for. I take that back. Fighting Chance, the city of St. Pete opened it up to nonprofits. We did not apply because I served those people. I couldn't apply and think somebody didn't get a grant.
Well, you have a fundraising, you have an initiative coming up, you said, for the Arts
so
Alliance.
We're working on a couple of ideas for that in the fall. And we're also working in the fall to create an arts and cultural strategy for the city of St. Petersburg. That will probably take 7 to 9 months with a partner. And that will hopefully help this, when we come out of this, the city, that we can present. And there will be a number of intersections with various areas, you know, the leaders, of course, of all the arts institutions and the public art and the Arts Advisory Committee in the city and so on. And I think we'll be trying to pull everybody, Chamber Downtown Partnership, together, particularly to work on that.
Well, you know, you're preaching to the choir here about the importance of arts in our life. But I hope that we reached some folks today with this program and got some of this important information out there. Always, you can refer to the St. Petersburg Arts Alliance website for information on grants and micro grants and you know, Mr. Grants and Grants Department Store and all
jobs.
U.S. grants.
People are hiring.
All of that. Go,
jobs
John.
Page. Yeah, no, come on the line. Actually, all you need to do is sign up for ArtBeat, which is at the bottom of our landing page, and it's free. We send this all out for free. Our Arts and Cultural Directory is free.
The newsletter.
If you want to hire a muralist, you can look at our Arts and Cultural Directory, and all the mural artists and their work is there. You can call them up and hire them. It's just a service we provide. We're not a gig office. We don't take a percentage of anything. So what we want to do is just make sure that together our musicians, and in fact, we just did a webinar a little bit while ago on how to use YouTube to build your business. And when we were done with that one, and we did it with Zen Glass as sort of a host to practice on, to show people how to do that. And then, but we want to do another one. The next one I hope to do is for musicians. There's got to be a ton of musicians who don't know what to do next, you know? So what are the other ways? Now in this, if you can read music or write music, there's Netflix. You can start selling your music. I mean, you may not be able to play it, but here's an incredible world out there for film scores. There's a credible world out there for people to provide. I mean, as I mentioned, we just licensed music from La Lucha to be behind every one of these things. There are a lot of people out there who are willing to pay to have your music and want original music. So we're going to do a webinar on how to use YouTube and focus on, I don't know, maybe somebody who's just starting out in his business, or just start to, and then say, here's how you can be found, or here's how you can build your brand and grow your business. But you got to think of it as a business.
Well, the St. Petersburg Arts Alliance is an invaluable resource. If you don't know about it, please go check them out. My thanks to you, Mr. Collins. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And I've learned a lot today. This has been fabulous.
My pleasure, very much.
I'm going to go, as soon as we're done, I'm going over to that Curate site and watch every one of those videos.
Check out your friends. You'll learn something, and everyone.
And everybody else too, and the ones that I haven't met. I look forward to it. John, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And we'll see you real soon.
Thank you, Bill. And thank you, Catalyst. Bye-bye.